You say you want greatness, but the truth is, you're too comfortable, and that comfort is quietly destroying your potential. This is the reality most people don't want to hear, but it's exactly what Eric Thomas has been preaching for years. You can't live a comfortable life and expect extraordinary results. It doesn't work like that. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Every time you choose the easy option, every time you hit snooze instead of getting up to grind, every time you avoid the hard conversation, the tough workout, the extra hour of learning, you're making a decision to stay average. And the crazy part is, you don't even realize how these small decisions are stacking up against you. You think you're just resting, just delaying, just taking it easy for now, but for now it turns into forever. Greatness demands a different version of you, someone who is willing to be uncomfortable on purpose. Someone who understands that pain is temporary, but regret lasts a lifetime. You can't want a champion's life with a spectator's habits. That's not how it works. You've got to push yourself beyond what feels good. You've got to wake up when you don't feel like it, work when you're tired, and keep going when your mind is screaming at you to stop. Because that's where the transformation happens. That's where you separate yourself from everyone else who says they want it but won't pay the price. Comfort will tell you, relax, you deserve a break. Comfort will whisper, you can start tomorrow. But greatness is louder. Greatness says, get up, get moving, get it done. The problem is, most people listen to comfort more than they listen to their calling. And that's why they stay stuck. You weren't built to live a small, easy life. You were built for more. But more requires effort, discipline, sacrifice, and a willingness to suffer in the short term. You've got to train your mind to stop chasing comfort and start chasing growth. Because every level of your life will demand a new version of you, and that version doesn't come from doing what's easy. It comes from doing what's necessary. So if you're serious about greatness, you've got to ask yourself a real question. What are you willing to give up? Because you can't keep your old habits, your comfort zone, your excuses, and expect a new life. Something has to go. And most of the time, it's the comfort that's holding you back. You've got to get to a point where being comfortable makes you uncomfortable. Where staying the same feels worse than the pain of change. That's the shift. That's the mindset that separates the average from the elite. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop negotiating with your comfort zone and start making moves that push you forward, even when it hurts. Because at the end of the day, comfort will keep you safe, but it will never make you great. You keep saying you're ready for greatness, but deep down, fear is the real reason you're stuck. And until you face it, nothing in your life is going to change. This is exactly what Eric Thomas talks about when he says most people aren't lacking opportunity, they're lacking courage. Fear has been running your decisions for too long. You're afraid of failing, afraid of looking foolish, afraid of what people will think if you try and don't succeed. And because of that fear, you play it safe, you stay in your comfort zone, you avoid risks. You keep telling yourself one day, but that day never comes. Let me tell you something real. Fear is a liar. It will convince you that you're not ready, not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. It will build worst case scenarios in your mind and make them feel real even when they're not. And the more you listen to it, the more power you give it. That's how people stay stuck for years, sometimes their whole lives, because they let fear make their decisions instead of their dreams. But here's the truth you need to understand. Fear doesn't go away. It doesn't magically disappear when you're ready. It's always going to be there. The difference between average people and great ones is simple. Great people act anyway. They feel the fear, but they move forward regardless. They don't wait for confidence. They build confidence through action. Every time you face your fear, every time you take a step forward, even when your hands are shaking and your heart is racing, you weaken that fear. You prove to yourself that you're stronger than it. But every time you run from it, you make it stronger. You build a habit of avoidance, and that habit becomes your prison. You've got to break that cycle. You've got to stop asking, what if I fail, and start asking, what if I succeed? What if the thing you're afraid of is actually the doorway to your next level? What if the risk you're avoiding is the exact move that could change your life? You'll never know if you keep hiding. Fear will keep you small if you let it, but greatness requires you to step into the unknown. It requires you to be uncomfortable, uncertain, and exposed. That's the price. You can't have growth without risk. You can't have success without struggle. And you can't have greatness if you're constantly running from the very things that challenge you. So stop waiting to feel ready, because that moment is a myth. You become ready by taking action. You become stronger by facing what scares you. And you become unstoppable when you realize that fear was never the enemy, it was the test. The question is, are you going to keep letting fear control your life? Or are you finally going to take control and chase the greatness that's been waiting for you all along? You keep waiting to feel motivated, waiting for that perfect burst of energy to push you into action, but that's exactly why you're stuck, because motivation is unreliable and discipline is what you're missing. This is the hard truth that Eric Thomas has been drilling into people for years. Motivation might get you started, but discipline is what carries you to greatness. Right now, you're operating on feelings. If you feel good, you work. If you feel tired, you stop. If you feel inspired, you go hard for a day or two, but the moment that feeling fades, so does your effort. That inconsistency is killing your progress. Greatness doesn't come from what you do occasionally, it comes from what you do consistently. It's built in the quiet moments, the unseen hours, the days when you don't feel like showing up, but you do it anyway. Discipline is about making a decision and sticking to it, no matter how you feel. It's waking up early when your body begs for more sleep. It's putting in the work when distractions are everywhere. It's staying locked in when results are slow and nobody is clapping for you. That's what separates the average from the elite. Anybody can be motivated for a moment, but not everybody can stay disciplined over time. And that's the difference. You've got to stop negotiating with yourself. Every time you say, I'll do it later, I'll start tomorrow, or I don't feel like it today, you're breaking trust with yourself. And the more you break that trust, the harder it becomes to believe in your own ability to follow through. Discipline builds self-respect. It builds confidence, because when you know that you're going to do what you said you would do, no matter what, you become dangerous. You become unstoppable. But that only happens when you commit to the process, not just the outcome. You've got to fall in love with the grind, the repetition, the daily effort that most people avoid. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting every day, but it's necessary. You can't skip the process and expect the prize. You can't cheat the work and still demand the reward. Life doesn't work like that. You've got to earn it every single day. And here's the truth: discipline is a choice. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build. Every time you choose to do the hard thing instead of the easy thing, you strengthen it. Every time you follow through on your commitments, you reinforce it. But every time you give in to excuses, you weaken it. So the question is, what are you choosing daily? Because your habits are shaping your future right now. If you keep choosing comfort over discipline, you're choosing an average life. But if you decide, starting today, that you're going to show up no matter what, that you're going to work, execute, and stay consistent regardless of how you feel, you will separate yourself from the crowd. You will build something most people never will. Because at the end of the day, it's not about being the most talented or the most gifted. It's about being the most disciplined. And if you can master that, greatness won't be a dream anymore. It'll be your reality. You keep saying you want greatness, but your actions are exposing the truth. You're just not hungry enough yet. And that's not an insult, that's a wake-up call, because if you were truly hungry, if you were obsessed, driven, and locked in, nothing would be able to stop you. This is the mindset that Eric Thomas has been preaching for years. When you want something as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you'll finally reach a different level. Right now, your desire is casual. It's something you think about, something you talk about, something you wish for, but it's not something you're fully committed to. And that's why you keep making excuses. That's why you keep delaying. That's why you keep settling for less than what you're capable of. Because when you're truly hungry, excuses don't exist. When you're truly hungry, you don't care about comfort, you don't care about opinions, you don't care about temporary pain. You care about results. You care about growth. You care about becoming the person you know you're meant to be. Hunger is what pushes you to go harder when everyone else is quitting. It's what keeps you up late working on your goals and gets you up early to keep chasing them. It's what makes you relentless. But here's the problem: you've gotten comfortable with average. You've made peace with good enough. And as long as you're okay with average, greatness will always feel out of reach. You've got to reach a point where average makes you uncomfortable, where mediocrity frustrates you, where staying the same feels like failure. That's when the shift happens. That's when you start moving differently, because now it's not just something you want. It's something you need. And when it becomes a need, your entire mindset changes. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop wasting time. You stop entertaining distractions that don't align with your goals. You become focused, disciplined, and driven in a way that most people will never understand. But understand, this hunger isn't something that just appears out of nowhere. You have to fuel it. You have to remind yourself daily why you started, what you're chasing, and what's at stake if you don't go all in. You've got to visualize the life you want and the pain of never reaching it. You've got to connect emotionally to your purpose. Because when your why is weak, your effort will be weak. But when your why is strong, when it's personal, when it hits deep, your excuses won't stand a chance. So stop lying to yourself. Stop saying you want greatness if you're not willing to do what greatness requires, because it's going to demand your time, your energy, your focus, your sacrifice. It's going to test your patience, your resilience, your commitment. And if you're not hungry enough, you'll quit the moment it gets hard. But if you truly are, then nothing will be able to hold you back. You'll find a way no matter what, and that's the difference. Greatness isn't for everyone. It's for the ones who are hungry enough to chase it relentlessly, without excuses, without hesitation, and without looking back.